This lesson I'll show you how to do the hand. So one of the key things with the hand is since we've subdivided this model so many times, there is just way too much detail on this thing right now. So we're going to go down to the lowest level and start from that. So make sure you're at your lowest level. You can press Shift D to quickly get there. And we're just going to start moving stuff. Now for this part, reference is key. If you're not using reference, don't reference what I'm doing. That's not going to give you as good of a result. This is basically how to use the tool, but you should have some pictures of hands around, even if you want to practice drawing hands, that'll get you familiarized. Okay, so just going to make it puff out a little bit here. Keep in mind, if you are male and you're doing a female hand, referencing your own hand, you have to take that with a grain of salt because you have, you don't have female hands. You need to reference some female hands and see what the differences are. Usually one thing I like to do with female hands is you want to taper them a little bit more at the tips. They're not going to be as bulky generally. I'm using smooth here. And you want to get rid of these gaps a little bit, because once this character makes a fist, if that's what you decide to do with it, those gaps are going to get filled in, and you can do that later. That's another thing, is once you start posing this thing, a lot of the detail stuff you do on these hands is going to get, well, not messed up, but messed up. So here I just isolated with Control Shift. So I'm going to go up one subdivision level. Let's see what we got here. I still feel like this thumb is too far up. Okay. And that is definitely wrong right there. There we go. So you want this to naturally go down. You want there to be like a music to the forms. They all kind of flow into each other. You don't want any weird bulky stuff going on, if that makes any sense. And these fingers, they're gonna kind of flatten out at the top and taper at the bottom. You can use clay buildup brush to kind of mark where the transitions in the joints are. So you're already getting, and don't forget, if you look at your hand, you could see there's a kind of a wide transition here. There's a little, almost like a little gap. It looks like it's gotten I don't know, like held down with a piece of tape or something. We're definitely going to have to go in here and get these out, because these are webbing. Fun fact, in the womb we actually have webbed hands, and the webbing slowly goes away as we get closer to birth. So remember that there is webbing here. It's just very, very small. It's from when we used to be amphibians. Okay, as I'm doing this, I'm looking at my hand. So you want to get this, there's like a curve here that happens, kind of a graceful curve, out, in, out again. And you might want to step up your subdivisions at this point and get some of that in there. Like the meaty part of the hand. Also, as you're doing the hand, keep in mind that a lot of the cues, a lot of the stuff that happens in the hand is going to take its cues from the muscles that are coming into it in the wrist. So if you spread your hand out as far as you can, you could see that there's these tendons that come from the side of your forearm and they go into your thumb, and you want to make a note of those. These are kind of the tendons I'm talking about. And they go in and they connect right here. And then there's almost a little gap right here. So the more little things like that you note, the more your anatomy is going to start to sing. Obviously, there's so much to learn in anatomy. The more you go into it, this what I'm teaching you right now isn't really scratching the surface. But look at the overall shape here. I want to pull this back. And kind of trust your instinct on this stuff. You've seen your hands your whole life, so you know what hands look like. You know when something looks off. Trust that instinct, that your artistic instinct, and let that guide you. So from the side, see, we got these kind of like sausagey effect happening here. We want to kind of straighten that out. So this is one way to do it. You just kind of go around from every angle, just fix things that look wrong until it no longer looks wrong anymore. But if you had a better working knowledge of the hand, you could figure out all the plane changes and stuff that goes into this, and just reference anatomy books and any kind of anatomy imagery you find online for that. Generally, there's the pad of the hand that happens here, and then it kind of goes in right here, and there's another pad right here. So there's like the pad right here, the pad right here, and the pad that goes across, and then in between there's like kind of a no man's land. It actually circles around here, and then there's more webbing here. There's some flesh under there. Keep in mind, if you're using clay buildup brush, at some point it's going to start getting too meaty, so you want to take a step back, look at your hand, see if it still looks feminine, which mine is already starting to kind of get a little beefy. And then, lastly, I'll just show you the nail real quick. It's just, I don't really have a secret way of doing it. I just kind of go in with clay buildup, and I just kind of sketch it in. Smooth it a little bit. And you can use Damien Standard, good old Damien Standard brush, to draw the outline of it. Draw underneath it. That's a tiny little fingernail. So just a reminder to work big to small. Don't go all the way in. And this thumb is, this thumb is terrible. There's a lot of adjusting that needs to be done. Again, thumb tapers in here, tapers out, and it bulges out. And again, look at that. There's like the out, the in, the out, the in, all those kind of, wave type of S shapes that happen in the human anatomy. So I'm not going to go over this entire hand, but that's the gist of how to create all the separate pieces. And eventually, of course, there's, once you get all that stuff sorted out using your reference, you go in with your Damien standard brush and put in, some creases where there's creases. Alright, so that's generally how to complete the hand. In the next lesson, we'll be separating these body parts to just kind of optimize our geometry a little bit.